Dota 2 has seen its fair share of star players, but few have been quite as unique as this guy. A player whose unorthodox style turned heads from the moment he entered the scene, becoming an instant sensation. A 1v5 Medusa clutch? Been there, done that.
He has one. I can just end the game now. He's going to try to do so with a fairy. What? Do it. I mean, that's a call.
Phantom Assassin with Glimmer Cape? No questions asked. Magnus as a carry? Easy peasy. This is Dyrachyo, the absolute madman, the chaotic genius, the guy who turns questionable into legendary. Anton Dyrachyo Skridov was born on September 5, 2001, in Russia, a country known for producing esports legends. Whether it was Counter-Strike or Dota 2, Russia had always been a breeding ground for elite competitors. The path was laid out in front of Dyrachyo. All he had to do was be good. And, well, he was. Like many before him, he grew up with a passion for gaming, splitting his focus between Dota 2 and Counter-Strike. But it was Dota that would become his true calling. His first real shot at the professional scene came with Khan, a Kazakhstan-based esports organisation. While not exactly a household name, it was enough to get Dyrachyo's foot in the door. And then came his big break, signing with none other than Team Spirit, the team that would later go on to become world champions. His time with Spirit was short-lived, but invaluable. In the 6 months he spent there, Dyrachyo got a first-hand look at how top-tier esports organisations functioned. From there, he bounced around different teams, including Gambit, where he met and bonded with GPK, a player he still treasures to this day, Winstreak, and Team Tickles. But it wasn't until he landed at Gaimin Gladiators that everything truly clicked. Gaimin Gladiators wasn't just another team. It was a well-oiled machine. Built around teamwork and synergy, the squad was a force to be reckoned with. Melchior Saleri Hillenkamp, Miroslav Boom Bichan, and Daniel Immortal Faith Moser remained from the previous roster, and they were joined by Marcus Ace Holgard, Eric Tofu Engel, and of course, Anton Dyrachyo Skridov. A new lineup, same philosophy. This wasn't a team where one player carried the rest. Each piece of the puzzle mattered. If one faltered, the others would step up. This was the Gaimin Gladiators way. Saleri was the mastermind, controlling vision and executing team fights with surgical precision. On another day, the spotlight would shift to Ace, whose perfect timing and fearless initiations combined with Tofu's incredible playmaking made them an unstoppable duo. Boom would take Ember Spirit, dominate the mid lane, and dismantle the enemy team. And then, of course, there was Dyrachyo, calm, methodical, farming up a storm, and then walking into a fight to 1v5 with Medusa while his teammates caused chaos. Beyond individual skill, Gaimin Gladiators thrived on bold, daft strategies. They weren't afraid to stick to unconventional picks, running both pub-style combos and classic meta strategies. But they also had the ability to completely dismantle an opponent's draft with a single pick. A perfect example of this came in a decisive game against Tundra Esports. Immortal Faith pulled out a wild draft, Underlord for Ace, pushing Sand King to the mid lane. The result? Boom finished the game with a flawless 10-0 record, and Tundra's heroes had no answer for the sheer tankiness of 3 strength cores. But this isn't about analytics. What's more interesting is the philosophy behind the team, and why Gaimin Gladiators were willing to bet big on what was once known as Team Tickles. Dyrachyo and GG weren't just making history, they were making memes, memories, and instant success. Right from the start, they dominated, winning the Dota 2 Pro Circuit regional final by taking down Team Liquid 3-1 in the grand finals. But that was just the appetizer. The real target was the Stockholm Major 2022. Winning a major isn't for the faint of heart, it's where the big boys play. GG, still fresh on the scene, had a steep climb ahead. They made a statement by finishing first in the group stage, putting everyone on notice. But when it came to the upper bracket semi-final, TSM shut them down 2-0. Dropping to the lower bracket, they ran into OG and took another 2-0 loss, settling for 4th place. Not bad for a new squad, but they knew they had more in the tank. The biggest win of the year, 2022, was qualifying for the International, the ultimate battleground of Dota 2. This time, their group stage performance wasn't as dominant, forcing them into the lower bracket. They took out Fnatic, but then ran into OG way too soon and got sent home. Still, making it past groups meant they walked away with a cool $378,612. Not a bad consolation prize. But instead of feeling discouraged, they got hungrier. They knew they had what it took. GG wasn't just another team, they were a serious threat. And 2023? That was going to be their year. The Lima Major kicked things off, and wow, did it set the tone. The chemistry was locked in, Dyrachyo was in beast mode, and GG was tearing through the competition. First in the group stage, top seed in the upper bracket, they were rolling. They wiped the floor with Team Aster 2-0, crushed Entity 2-0, and once again took down Liquid in the upper bracket final 2-0. Liquid fought their way back for a rematch in the grand final, but it didn't matter. GG shut them down, again sweeping them 3-0. They didn't drop a single game in the knockout phase. Unreal. Next up, the Berlin Major 2023. GG kept the dominance rolling, topping the group stage again and cutting through Team Spirit, OG and 9 Pandas without dropping a series. When they reached the grand final, guess who was waiting? Liquid. And yet again, GG put them down 3-1.
Get down, they'll run downside, they get the team wipe yet again.
Wow, what a techie stun.
And they'll call it GG, it's called. Gaming Gladiators once again, they'll take the title here. 3-1 against Team Liquid.
By now, Dyrachyo wasn't just a carry, he was the carry. His playstyle wasn't just aggressive, it was borderline reckless. But it worked. He'd chase kills while still topping GPM and XPM charts, leaving casters and analysts baffled. And of course, his signature Dyrachyo deaths became a meme. Fans even started calling him Dyrachyo, just to mess with him. But you can't argue with results. Back-to-back major wins? That's legendary status. And they weren't done. Between majors, GG picked up Dreamleague Season 19 and 20, just casually stacking trophies. Then came the Bali Major 2023. This time, things got shaky. They placed third in groups but still made it to the upper bracket. A tough 2-1 win over Beast Coast got them started, followed by another 2-1 grind against Quest Esports. Meanwhile, their old nemesis Liquid stumbled in the semis against Tundra. GG took down Tundra to punch their ticket to the grand final. And, shocker, Liquid clawed their way back for another rematch. But history repeated itself. GG took them down again. That was it. 3 majors in a row, an unprecedented record. This was GG just 2 years after forming. But they still wanted everything. And in Dota, that means one thing. The Aegis of Champions. TI was the World Cup of Dota, the Holy Grail. TI finally arrived, but GG stumbled early. They finished second in their group and, in the seeding decider, lost to Talon. That meant a brutal lower bracket run, and you could feel the pressure. When Dyrachyo was winning, he was hailed as the best carry in the world. When he struggled, he was called a herald tier player. Pros don't usually care about fan opinions, but something was off. The whole team seemed affected. Then, just when it looked rough, they went on a historic run. EG, gone. 9 Pandas, eliminated. Nouns, no chance. Team Liquid, yet again GG ended their run. Azure Ray, knocked out. They were unstoppable, carving their way through the bracket. In the lower bracket final, they dismantled LGD 2-0. One last series in the grand final, one last push for greatness. But this time, the fairy tale ending wasn't meant to be. Team Spirit proved too strong, and Dyrachyo, the man who carried them this far, couldn't bring it home. Right at the doorstep of greatness, GG fell short. Still, there's no doubt what GG built in 2 years was legendary. That only meant that the third year they would be even more unstoppable. But as soon as 2024 started, things seemed way off. The pressure was getting to them, or there was some internal strife. Even Dyrachyo himself couldn't deny it. GG was in shambles. He admitted to Alexei Storm Tumanov that things within the team were terrible, straight up calling their Dreamleague Season 2022 performance a disaster. And if Dyrachyo is saying it's bad, you know it's bad. Storm spilled the tea on Twitch, revealing that he had reached out to Dyrachyo to check in. I wanted to support Antoa a bit, so I messaged him. What's even happening with the team? I remember last summer, GG was in a slump, losing every map. Back then, Antoa told me that when they're ahead, everything just turns into chaos. No one listens, it's just a mess. Storm also pointed out that last year's problems were mostly due to communication issues, but this time, it might be even worse. I asked him, is it the same communication disaster as before? And he said, no, it's just some complete. So in theory, it's even worse than when they were throwing unlosable games. What even is the problem then? Game form? Preparation? They need a boot camp. They need to chill out. GG's struggles were painfully obvious in Dreamleague Season 22. They started the tournament as favourites, but instead of dominating, they went out early, way earlier than expected. And if that wasn't enough, Storm also casually dropped the bomb that Dyrachyo had been farming achievements in Red Dead Redemption 2 at midnight during the tournament. Their rough patch continued, crashing out early from Dreamleague and Valahia Season 1. But by May, something clicked. GG found their groove again, and the chemistry was back. They made a solid run in Dreamleague Season 24, finishing second, only losing to Falcons. Then they finally secured a big win, taking Riyadh Masters 2024 and once again turning Liquid into their personal punching bag.
Oh, the cleanest series of your life. Gaimin Gladiators take it 3-0 away from Liquid.
With momentum back on their side, GG set their sights on the real goal, the International. This time, they were all in. They weren't the strongest team heading in, but they managed to place second in the group stage with a respectable record. 1 win, 1 draw, 1 loss. In the seed decider, they took down China's G2 IG and locked in their spot in the upper bracket. They started strong, rolling over Nouns and Tundra to reach the upper bracket final, but that's where things took a turn. Liquid finally got their revenge, taking GG down and sending them to the lower bracket. There, they faced Tundra again, and it was an absolute slog. A grueling 70-minute game finally put GG through to the grand finals, setting up yet another showdown with Liquid. But this time, Liquid wasn't just looking for revenge, they were looking to destroy. And they did. A brutal 3-0 sweep left GG stunned. Their TI run was over, and so was their roller coaster of a year.
Absolutely doing it! GG is cold! Team Liquid!
Unbelievable. How many series was it in best of 5 that they could not bring it to Gaimin Gladiators, but when it mattered at TI this time around, they've done it in a spectacular fashion. 3-0 with Nate.
And then, the bombshell dropped. In a shocking move that few saw coming, but maybe every fan feared, GG kicked Dyrachyo from the team. Just like that. As if he was the reason they weren't winning. The player who had carried them to so many trophies was now out. Oh boy, did this drama blow up. Dyrachyo getting kicked was one thing, but what followed? Absolute cinema. Not long after his departure from GG, Dyrachyo spilled everything in an interview, claiming that his removal had been planned for a long time and that he was given sketchy advice during games, advice that made no sense at all. In an interview with KD All In, Dyrachyo didn't hold back. Hearing the build advice now was weird because I feel like my understanding of the meta hero was good enough. So, none of these suggestions really made any sense to me. I'm thinking, man, I know how to play this hero. Why are you even telling me what to pick? The implication? His kick was brewing for months. Despite this, Dyrachyo took the high road, saying he didn't regret his time with GG, acknowledging the team's success and the value he gained from it. Whether that value meant experience or a solid paycheck, though, he left open to interpretation. And then, boom, another bombshell. Nyx dropped a spicy revelation. GG had been planning to boot Dyrachyo even before the Riyadh Masters. Apparently, the team originally wanted Watson, but due to certain conditions, they had to wait until after TI to make the swap. So they went to Riyadh, already wanting Dyrachyo gone. And after winning the tournament, they still kicked him right at the TI after party of all places. Nyx didn't hold back. I knew this was happening before Anton did. Why couldn't they just tell him to his face? Why be such a rat about it? They act all nice and wholesome in the media, but this just shows who they really are. They spent years winning everything with him and then kicked him behind his back for months before actually pulling the trigger. And if you thought that was the end of it, nope. GG's co-founder, Joseph Heckler Turner, decided to really stir the pot. After Dyrachyo told his fans on Telegram that he had been kicked, Heckler jumped in, claiming that wasn't the case at all. According to him, Dyrachyo left willingly. At first, this could have been a classic he said, she said situation, but then Heckler went off. On his livestream, he torched Dyrachyo, accusing him of never participating in drafts or replay reviews, spending too much time on Russian media, drinking, and openly saying he wanted to play with Russian players. GG, according to him, let him go without penalties, only for Dyrachyo to go around claiming he was kicked. But Heckler wasn't done. After GG's TI loss, he went on Twitter to call out Dyrachyo again, accusing him of exploiting bugs and implying that Dyrachyo was just an influencer who never leaves his house. And to top it all off, he ended the tweet with the cryptic, "I have receipts." Dyrachyo's next up, Tundra Esports, and oh man, what a squad this was shaping up to be. This wasn't just a team, this was an all-star lineup in the making. Whiteman and Sakska were locking down the support roles. 33, an absolute monster in the offlane, was paired with BZM, a player many considered a next-gen Topson holding down mid, and then of course Dyrachyo himself as carry. This team had everything. Saksa and 33 were already a goated offlane duo, their synergy and chemistry unmatched. BZM's Invoker, straight up terrifying. And Dyrachyo was set to pair with Whiteman, one of the best position 5 supports out there. Tundra had already been a strong team, but they were missing one key piece to become truly great. And that piece seemed to be Dyrachyo. From the very start, Tundra was making waves. They won 2 qualifiers right out of the gate, one of them against Dyrachyo's former team GG. But that didn't even matter in the grand scheme of things. February was where the real revenge arc began. The first major event was Fisher Playground No. 1, a brand new Tier 1 tournament. Tundra barely made it into the playoffs, and in order to get it, they had to knock out GG. Just like that, Dyrachyo sent his old squad packing. The tournament pressed on. Teams settled in, and suddenly Tundra found themselves in the grand finals against Falcons. And despite being down 0-2, they pulled off a reverse sweep, taking the series 3-2. It was a statement win, but the best was yet to come. Then, just a week later, came Blast Slam 2. And this is where Tundra really proved they were on another level. They steamrolled their way through the competition, completely untouchable. And when it came time for the grand final, it was gaimin gladiators again. Dyrachyo's former team. And Tundra obliterated them. 3-0. It wasn't even close. This was pure humiliation for GG. Quinn tried to pull out a Queen of Pain pick in Game 3, and Tundra embarrassed him for it. Dyrachyo wasn't just winning, he was proving a point. He wasn't the problem back at GG. If anything, he was the missing piece that made Tundra unstoppable. Riding high off these victories, Tundra rolled into Dreamleague Season 25, looking like the clear favourites to win another trophy. Everything was lining up perfectly until chaos struck. A massive game patch dropped right in the middle of the tournament, shaking up the entire meta. Despite the sudden shift, Tundra still powered through to the grand finals where they faced Team Spirit. But just when things were reaching their peak, disaster struck again. The tournament was hit with DDoS attacks, forcing the grand final to be interrupted and rescheduled. It was a messy situation, and while Tundra still finished second, the entire event felt compromised. And just like that, the rumour mill started churning again. Whispers spread that Tundra was planning to kick Dyrachyo, with Chrysalis and even Arteezy being floated as potential replacements. But this turned out to be just noise. The real issue wasn't about performance, it was whether Dyrachyo could even play in Valahia, Romania, due to visa concerns. Dyrachyo himself shut down the speculation, confirming that he would be playing, and that he had been cleared to enter Romania. With that, the Dyrachyo Tundra saga was far from over. If anything, it was just getting started.